everybody, thank you for joining me. So we're in the aftermath of Paul McCartney's Glastonbury set now. I hope you've all had a chance to see it, those of you who wanted to, now that it's been on the iPlayer and probably all around the internet. But I got a message a few days ago from a chap called Pete Lack. Thank you for your message, Pete. And he said, I bet we could put together another Glastonbury set list that features none of the songs that Paul actually did. And I thought, that's not a bad idea. I think I'll have a go at that. So here it is. Now, this is not in any way intended to be a slight on what Paul did choose in his Glastonbury set. I thought it's probably the greatest Glastonbury set list that anybody's ever been able to put together. It was superb. But this is intended as a bit of fun, just to show the absolute strength in depth of his back catalogue, that could you actually put together another set list that's probably not far off as good as the one that he actually did. Well, I don't know what's going to be in this yet, because I'm going to build it in this video, and so we're going to see what happens. Can we build one that's as good? Well, let's find out. I've got down here, I've got all my Beatles CDs and my McCartney albums. I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to create a shortlist first of all of purely songs that I thought could be good in a Glastonbury set list, but that Paul did not do. If Paul did it at Glastonbury a couple of weeks ago, it's not getting into this list. So it's going to be interesting to see how this comes out. I'm going to make a shortlist first, and then I'm going to try and build an actual proper set. So let's go. Okay, so I have got my shortlist of 63 songs. I've got to whittle this down to 38 because that's how many songs Paul did at Glastonbury. I want to match that. I want to do the same length of set list. I'm going to pick 2 special guests to come and perform with Paul on this. So I'll be telling you about that as I go through and what songs I would like them to do. So I'm going to put together, like I say, a set that contains no songs that Paul did at Glastonbury this time round. I want it to flow. He's going to start off on bass as he always does. He's going to have an acoustic guitar section. He's going to have a piano section. He's going to have guests coming on later on. He's going to have an encore. I want this set to flow. I've probably written about 300 or 400 set lists in my time for gigs that I've done, and sets have to follow a particular kind of rhythm to really get the best from them. So I'm going to try and build a set that really sort of flows well. So I'm going to transfer these over onto my computer, and then I can have a good play about with them. Okay, I've got that set list transferred over onto my computer now. Just the short list at the moment of 63 songs that I'm going to whittle down in a moment. But I just wanted to have a look at Paul's actual set list from Glastonbury that he did. There was 21 Beatles songs in there, and 8 Wings, 7 solo, 1 by the Quarrymen, and 1 Bruce Springsteen song. So some people thought it wasn't enough Beatles songs, some people thought it was too many. Paul can choose what he likes, frankly. But let's have a look at how this shortlist that I've put together compares. So I've got 33 Beatles songs, but I've got 21 solo songs as opposed to the 7 that Paul put in his set. Now that doesn't mean they're all going to make it in. I've got to whittle this 63 down to 38, but I've certainly tried to include more solo songs where possible. I've got 9 Wings songs in my shortlist, and a George song, because I also want to include a song for George and a song for John, as Paul always does. But I can't use the ones that he always uses. So, okay, I am now going to start whittling this down to my alternate Glastonbury set list that I've put together for Paul. I've got it, I've done it. Well, this is an amazing set list. I'm not saying that it's better than what Paul's put together. Paul put together the best possible set list that he could. I'm dealing with what's left over, and my goodness, these are some tasty leftovers. I think, to be honest, the one place where this falls down compared to Paul's actual set more than anywhere is probably at the ending. He's got a perfect ending for his gigs with the Abbey Road medley, but I can't use that. So I've come up with the best I can, but if I was to say that there's a place where it's not as strong, maybe it might be the end. See what you think. You might think differently. So I have got a 38 song set list here, and I can tell you that, if we're going to break it down, it's got 20 Beatles songs in it. Paul did 21 in his actual set. I've got 7 Wings songs, and I've got 11 solo songs. We've got 20 songs from the 1960s, 10 songs from the 1970s. Crucially, I've got 4 songs from the 1980s, whereas Paul had 2. I would have liked to have seen more 80s songs in there. I've got 3 from the 90s, and I've got 1 from the 2010s. I so wanted to put some McCartney 3 songs in, but I just couldn't fit them in. Maybe if we were going to do another set list after this with another 38 songs, I would get some McCartney 3 songs in there, but I couldn't quite feel I could justify putting them in this. So let's go. Paul is going to start off on bass for the first several songs, as he generally does. And I've gone with a big Beatles opener here, A Hard Day's Night, which he has been known to play quite often over the last few years. It's got that nice big jing intro, so that's good for starting off a gig with. I feel that A Hard Day's Night, compared to Can't Buy Me Love, is a kind of a like-for-like kind of opening there. He's then staying on bass for Penny Lane. Now, Paul has very, very rarely done Penny Lane live. I can only really remember the early 90s when he's done Penny Lane, but why not? There will be a few surprises in here. There's a few things in here that Paul, for whatever reason, does not do, or he used to do, hasn't done for years, or has never done. I'm going to bring a few of them into this set list, whilst trying to be realistic as well. So we've got Hard Day's Night followed by Penny Lane. He's then going to go into the crowd pleasing, Listen to What the Man Said. He's not done this for decades as far as I know. Has he done it recently? I'm not sure, but he certainly used to do it in the 70s, and I think it would be great as a crowd livener earlier on in the set. We've then got Drive My Car. He's been known to do this constantly over the decades, so there'd be no surprise there. We're carrying on up tempo with All My Loving, followed by Coming Up, and then I've brought in a song that I think would be good to sort of harken back to Paul's past. He did this in Liverpool when I saw him in Anfield in 2008. He doesn't do it very often, but he pulled it out then because it was a cavern special that they used to do, and it's Honey Hush from the Run Devil Run album. So I think that would be a great up-tempo rock and roll number to really help get things going. I think that's a pretty strong 7-song opening there. Paul's then going to move on to acoustic guitar. We've got the acoustic guitar set coming up here, and probably quite a bit of a longer set than he might normally do on acoustic. So he's going to do We Can Work It Out, the Beatles classic, followed by Another Day, his first post-Beatles single release. We've then got Eleanor Rigby, which when he does that, he tends to be on acoustic guitar. The crowd are obviously all going to know that. It's a obviously a massively popular song that people are going to know. We've then got I'll Follow the Sun. He often likes to do like a little false ending to that, so that could be fun. And then I've brought in Every Night from the McCartney album. I thought that would be a good one for him to do. We can't put Maybe I'm Amazed in this set because he did it at Glastonbury, so I thought we'd have Every Night in here instead. Next up is a song that I would have loved to have seen him do, and it was in contention. So Mary McCartney posted a sort of potential set list on her Instagram feed, which was a set list that Paul and his band were working towards, with some sort of either ors. We'll either do this one or we'll do that one. Hope of Deliverance was in there, so this could have happened. It didn't, so I'm pinching it for my alternate set here. We've got Hope of Deliverance on acoustic guitar, followed by Calico Skies. Paul and his band do a great live version of that. Really nice arrangement that they do of Calico Skies. And then the final song for the acoustic guitar section, now 15th song overall in this set, is going to be Michelle, the Beatles classic there from Rubber Soul. So Paul's then going to switch to bass, back to bass again, and he's going to do a song that I was surprised he didn't do at Glastonbury. Bearing in mind all the hype around Paul's 80th birthday. Who's got the very own birthday song? Paul McCartney's got it. So I'm going to put Birthday in there when he goes back on bass. And then he is going to recreate Venus and Mars, Rock Show, Jet. He used to do that as a 3-song medley, of course, in the 1970s. In the mid-70s, Wings Over America era. I thought it'd be great to bring that back. Jet was another one that I would have loved to have seen at Glastonbury. Didn't happen, but the bonus is that I get to use it here instead. So I think that would be a great 3-song rocker there. I've put a surprise in here. Paul just doesn't do this song anymore, and he hasn't done it for decades, to my knowledge. Silly Love Songs. Could be interesting. He might have to drop the key, potentially, to do this, but I think it'd be great if he did Silly Love Songs, especially with the brass section that he had available to him at Glastonbury. They could really lift that song and elevate it. Paul's then going to move on to piano. We've got the piano section coming up here, and it's a mixture of songs that he's done a lot and one that he very definitely hasn't. So we're going to start off with Fool on the Hill. He did this a lot back in 1989-1990 on the Flowers in the Dirt tour, and it went down well, so I think he's going to kick off that on the piano, followed by Long and Winding Road. So obviously we've had the Get Back movie, Let It Be. The album's really popular at the moment. Long and Winding Road, a big part of that, so that would go down really well, I think, in this set. We've then got the song For John. So I can't use here today because Paul did that at Glastonbury. So I've picked a song that he has done live on occasion, Strawberry Fields Forever. I thought Paul could be at the piano and the band could do a good version of that. Strawberry Fields Forever, you could have the Strawberry Fields video on the screen, you could have lots of great images of John accompanying it, and that could be Paul's tribute to John there. Followed by, he always does a tribute to Linda. It's usually Maybe I'm Amazed. We can't use that because Paul did it at Glastonbury, so he's going to do My Love at my alternate Glastonbury gig for Linda, and then he's going to move on to a song that inexplicably he has never done live before, to my knowledge. A big UK #1 single, so he can't say that it wasn't a big hit and use that as an excuse to not do it. Pipes of Peace. I think if Pipes of Peace was ever going to break it back into the set, this year might have been the year, just with things that are happening. Paul might have chosen to bring that in, but he didn't. So I'm claiming it for this set here, Pipes of Peace, that my first Paul McCartney song that I ever got to know. So I've got a special place in my heart for it, but it's a big UK #1 smash. That makes it into the set. We've then got the final song of this piano section. Paul at Glastonbury did New, the title track from New. We can't use that, so I'm going to nick another song from the album, Queenie Eye. Which is probably my favourite live song from the album. So Queenie Eye is going to round off the piano section, another good upbeat song there. And Paul is going to move on to ukulele. Now he usually uses ukulele, of course, to do his tribute to George when he does something, but we can't use that here. I think Paul might want to still have a little tootle on a ukulele. So he's going to play Ram On here. And while the song's sort of coming to an end, with it sort of instrumentally, Paul can be strapping back on his bass, ready for the band to kick straight into Paperback Writer. I honestly couldn't remember whether he did that at Glastonbury or not. I had to go and check the set list because I thought he'd done it, but he didn't. So Paperback Writer is Paul's first song back on bass. It's the 28th song. We've already reached song 28. We've got another 10 to go. So now it's really going to start ramping up towards some kind of climax, and then obviously go off, come back for an encore. So this is where I'm going a little left field here, and this may take you a little bit by surprise. Paul's first special guest of the evening is going to join at this point. Now, we can't use Bruce Springsteen, we can't use Dave Grohl, because Paul used those at Glastonbury. So I had a real good think about this, and I am bringing on somebody who has a connection to Paul over the last sort of 2 or 3 years. They are known to be very friendly towards each other, and it's one of the current biggest stars in the world. So Paul is going to bring onto the stage Taylor Swift. Now that would grab some headlines. I'm not particularly a Taylor Swift fan, but I appreciate what she does, and I think if Paul wanted to show the star power that he can pull in, that is certainly going to prove it to a few people. But what song can they do? Well, I had a real good think about this, and so Paul's never really done a massively famous duet with a woman. Obviously, he had Linda singing with him for all those years, but they didn't do traditional duets as you would imagine. But he did do a duet with a very high-voiced person, another superstar called Mr. Michael Jackson. Say, Say, Say. So this is my little left field choice here. Paul is going to do Say, Say, Say as a duet with Taylor Swift at this point. Big smash hit, both sides of the Atlantic. Obviously a very well-known song. Goodbye Taylor, she's off, she's gone now, and we're going to do Hello Goodbye by the Beatles. Paul's staying on bass here for Hello Goodbye. And then we are building it up towards the end here. We've got our second special guest of the night. I think you can probably guess where I'm going to go with this one. Enter Sir Richard Starkey onto the stage. Ringo's going to join. And they are going to do Sgt. Pepper. And I've tried to keep this consistent with the fact that Bruce Springsteen sang a song, one of his own songs. All right, this song wasn't written by Ringo, but it's a Ringo song effectively. They're going to do Sgt. Pepper followed by With a Little Help from My Friends with Ringo on drums. So that should be fun. And then we are going to do a very, very special tribute to George. We can't do Something, as I said, because that was used at Glastonbury. So I have chosen for Ringo to stay on stage, for Ringo and Paul and the band to play While My Guitar Gently Weeps, a real rocking version of the George classic there. That's the tribute to George. That's going to be on the screen behind. That's the one that's going to get me all teary like it did on my live stream. And that could be a real great headline grabber and a lot of fun. So then that's going to be the end of the regular concert. They're all going to go off. Surprise, surprise, they're going to come back 90 seconds later for an encore. So we've got an encore. We've got an interesting encore here because we've got two songs that Paul just doesn't really do. But it's Glastonbury. It's the biggest festival in the world. They're his songs. There's no reason why he can't do them. Well, the first one, it's not just his, it's John's as well. It's one of the biggest selling singles probably in the world ever. I Want to Hold Your Hand. Why not? That could be great to kick off an encore with. And if Ringo wants to drum it, he can. I haven't put Ringo down on drums for this, but he's welcome to join if he wants to. And we're then going to do a song that, again, Paul has never done live. So it would grab some headlines. It was the big last sort of smash hit single that Paul had nearly 40 years ago, can you believe? No More Lonely Nights. If he's ever going to do it, let's do it at Glastonbury. I wasn't planning on a guest, but if he wants to bring Dave Gilmour on to play lead guitar, he can do, but I'm not going to assume that. We've already had our two guests out. But No More Lonely Nights could be a fun addition to the set. We're then really, really winding it up here. Ringo's going to come back on to do his encore with a reprise of Sgt. Pepper as the last big kind of rock song of the set. But we've got two more left to go. And they don't come much bigger than the two that I've picked to go at the end. Paul didn't do Yesterday at Glastonbury. Again, was it a surprise? Maybe so. But he's going to do it now instead. So it's just going to be Paul. There's going to be no backing. Paul McCartney on guitar singing the song that's been covered more than any other in popular music history, Yesterday. His song that he will be forever linked to. And then we have one more song left. This is it, the final song of the night. Where can I go with this? This might be a little bit of a surprise. Like I said earlier on, the one place where I felt I struggled here to match the original Paul McCartney set list was right at the end, because we can't use the Abbey Road medley. I put Sgt. Pepper Reprise in there because I thought that would be maybe about the nearest I could get. But how about this for an ending? He occasionally does this song, not very often. But how many other people would dare to, at 95% of their gigs, leave out the song that is, still to this day, the biggest selling non-charity single in UK chart history? Anybody else would kill to have that in their set. Paul's going to bring it back here for the big finale. It's Mull of Kintyre, which might surprise some people outside of the UK, but like I say, in the UK it is still apart from 2 or 3 charity records, it is the biggest selling single there has ever been in this country. He's going to bring the pipe band on. Now, I actually did a bit of Googling while I was putting this set together to see, could he bring the Campbelltown pipe band on? Now, if the Campbelltown pipe band still exist, they really need to up their social media game, because I can't find any record of them still existing. All the mentions are going back to the 70s and the work with Paul. So it will be a generic pipe band here, because I'm not sure whether there is a Campbelltown pipe band. Sort your act out. Get yourself a good website if you are out there, Campbelltown, because I couldn't find you. He's going to finish off a huge finish, Mull of Kintyre. And here now you are seeing my full set list. It's structured. He's going to have sections where he's on bass for several songs, sections where he's on piano for several songs, acoustic guitar. It's going to have a big start, it's going to have a big end, it's going to have a couple of peaks in the middle. I think that, as best I can do, removing the songs that Paul McCartney used for his unbelievable Glastonbury set, the greatest set list that anybody's probably concocted of their own songs in history. This is the best that I could put together. I would love to see whether or not you agree with this. Would you like the look of this set? Is there any major changes you would do to it to make it any different, whether it's particular songs or whole sections? I'm not sure. I think if I started to go to a third Glastonbury set, using none of these songs as well, I think we might start to struggle a bit, but it would still be full of a lot of bangers, absolutely, but whether we could get it to flow to be a Glastonbury headlining set, I'm not sure. But let me know what you think in the comments. This was just a bit of fun. I am not knocking Paul McCartney in any way. Lots of people seem to think after my Glastonbury videos that I'm some kind of Paul McCartney hater. I have no idea what I said to give that impression, but it's just a bit of fun, people, a bit of fun. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.